Your home for Hannity each afternoon at 3 p.m. Talk 96.3 and 103.7. Welcome in to News and Views with Tom Lamprecht. The stories you've heard and the ones you need to hear.
Don't let it dominate you.
For a president who has repeatedly downplayed the importance of masks.
Don't be afraid of it.
The scientists say that it's safe and the distances are safe.
Every workplace in America is facing a COVID challenge, and we can't confirm Supreme Court nominees if the Senate doesn't meet.
Voters can trust the integrity of elections.
Your life, your values, your voice. This is News and Views with Tom Lamprecht on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
All right, welcome in. It is News and Views for a Tuesday. Don't be controlled by your fears. I mean, what a great maxim for life. And that's what the president said, and yet the left is going bananas. Hogan Gigley is National Press Secretary of the Donald Trump 2020 presidential campaign. Hogan, welcome back to News and Views. Good to have you with us.
Oh, thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, when you were with us last time, we talked about the fact that you've got roots and relationships right here in eastern North Carolina, specifically Greenville, so hopefully they're tuned in. What a difference 5 days makes, Hogan. It's unbelievable. Had anybody predicted that on Thursday morning that Friday through Monday would have been written like it was, they would have never believed it. First question, how's the president and the first lady doing?
Everything I know about their situation right now is still really good. He was admitted, obviously, to Walter Reed, recovered really, really nicely. It looks like he's not out of the woods yet. But, some really interesting things that the doctor said. Doc Conley, I've known since I've been at the White House. He's the best of the best. His team is outstanding. And, they made the point that there was no live virus left in detectable in his system right now. That's great news. There was no respiratory issues with the president. That was good news. All of his vitals were normal. That, of course, is also good for him. And look, it's not just good for the president. It's good for the administration. It's good for the country.
Bingo.
It's good for the world to see the president up and moving around. And you can almost hear how angry Democrats are that somehow this president is improving. It was a very weird thing. I mean, we had Hillary Clinton's former speechwriter say, "I hope he dies." We had MSNBC saying, "Well, if we get rid of Pence, now we'll have President Pelosi. Look how good that would be." That's the kind of vitriol we see on the left every single day, and they try to make it out, of course, as usual, that they always accuse Republicans of things they themselves are actually guilty of doing. And this is another example. I mean, just talking about the president and the way they do and stoking this division and hatred, it's got to stop. And thankfully, we have a president who understands how to get this country back up and moving economically. The leadership he's taken on COVID is also strong. And now it looks like he's moving in the right direction to have a full recovery and be back out on the trail soon.
Yeah, when I saw him take that ride in the SUV to go out and wave to the supporters out there, I mean, first of all, to have a couple of hundred supporters out there 24/7, I mean, at 2 a.m. they were still out there. But when he got in that car and rode around, I thought, wow, what a great signal that he is showing the world that he's okay, he's in control, don't try any hanky-panky for our enemies, for our allies. He was saying, you know what, we're here, we're safe, we're going forward. And yet immediately, all the left loonies began to accuse him of the hatred that Donald Trump must have for the Secret Service by putting them in danger.
Yeah, I went out to that group earlier in the day to drop off some hats and masks and other things from the campaign.
Right.
They were so appreciative. I couldn't find anyone from the nearby area. Everyone was from states way away. A lot of North Carolinians in the group, actually.
Really?
Met a few of those folks, from eastern North Carolina even. And they were there just to pray for the president and wish him well. And I put my hat on and glasses so the press wouldn't really recognize me, and I was able to slip through there pretty easily. But, it's funny because the president, I mean, how do they think he got to Walter Reed after being diagnosed? He didn't get on Marine One and fly himself over there. He didn't then get into the SUV and drive up to the front doors. And how do they think he was going to get home? Just toss him the keys to a Buick, give him a hamburger and a road map, and say, hope you make your way back? The Secret Service are always with him, regardless of him being under attack, him in time of peace, him sick, him well, him happy, him not so happy. Regardless, they are there because their job is to protect the President of the United States. These are some of those brave men and women I've ever met in my life. They are wonderful people. I've spent so much time with members of the Secret Service, and their job is to protect his life. Whoever is the president, regardless of party, they're not a partisan group. He didn't put them in danger. It was approved by the White House Medical Unit, and he wanted to go up and down the street just to show everyone, that he was feeling well. He wanted to give them a thumbs up, a hand wave. And, as you said, the world got to see a president in recovery. That's what's so important here, and I think the mainstream media missed it because they're so full of hatred and anger toward this president. I mean, they don't like Joe Biden. They just hate Donald Trump.
Right. Well, I love what Mark Levin said when he came out and said, look, these people hate law enforcement officers. I mean, they go around saying, dead pigs is what we want and that kind of stuff. And then suddenly, they want to defund the police, but suddenly if two Secret Service agents are in the car with Donald Trump, it's a big deal.
Yeah. Hey, one quick thing on that, too, and that's such a great point that Mark made because, they didn't say a word about Secret Service agents getting coronavirus when people were literally standing right in their faces yelling hateful things when they were protesting right around the White House. Didn't say a word about that. That was okay, right? Because that's for a good cause. It's so disingenuous and so sickening to watch the media act the way they do. I'm just sick of it.
Let's talk about the campaign a little bit. How now Donald Trump has come out and said he will debate, and that's on. They're keeping that schedule apparently. When obviously he's got to take it easy for the next few days. I guess the medical team said through this coming weekend. Are y'all making plans to get him back on the road?
Well, look, I think one of the things we've done here is implemented Operation MAGA. In a time that the president was in the hospital, we wanted to make sure that we could pick up the slack as best we can. I mean, no one can make up for Donald Trump, but you know what I'm saying. And so, it's one of those things that when you unleash the Women for Trump bus tour in 12 states, when you make sure that our Black Voices for Trump are out all over the country and our Latinos for Trump are going to go out too, the family is going to be really employed well in the next few weeks. The vice president will be out, some virtual, some in person, but we wanted to make sure that the campaign didn't miss a beat. There's too much at stake here. The president understands that. He wanted Operation MAGA up and running, and so we developed that plan, and now we're going to implement it so that we can get out into these cities and towns and tell everyone the real record of the president and not let the mainstream media try and twist it into something negative.
Speaking of the black vote, I don't know if you've seen the new video that Michelle Obama has put out. It's horrendous, and it makes all kinds of accusations. But Bennie and I were talking before we went on the air this afternoon. Is that a response to the polls that the Democrats are watching the black vote come into the Donald Trump column?
They're definitely nervous about it. You can tell that with the way they're spending and where they're going and things like that. But, it's interesting. I mean, Joe Biden's own running mate called him Joe Biden, when he picked Kamala Harris, you remember that exchange they had on the debate stage, right? Not too long ago. She called him a sex criminal and a segregationist. Yep. No one asks about that. No one. No. She literally alluded to his record, which is horrible. I mean, Joe Biden touted an award from George Wallace. He honored former exalted Cyclops of the KKK at his funeral. He was worried his own Senator kids would grow up in a racial jungle. He said Barack Obama was quote-unquote articulate and clean. He brags about being from a slave state, Delaware. This is his record and his legacy, calling an African-American reporter a cocaine junkie, saying all African-Americans think alike. That's Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And so it's Donald Trump whose record of relationships inside the African-American community is stellar. He was given awards by the NAACP. He was glorified by all of the top leaders in the African American community. Not to mention, when he got into office, he actually did things to make their lives better with the highest employment rate ever in the African American community. Passing criminal justice reform, Joe Biden never did that. The Platinum Plan he just announced also would prosecute KKK members and Antifa as terrorist organizations. Joe Biden never did that either. It's this president who stood up for all people of this country, regardless of race, religion, color, or creed.
Hey, Hogan, this is Bennie. I'm a numbers guy and admittedly a poll watcher, and I realize you can't win a presidential election being behind in the polls in October. Obviously, I say that facetiously, but there are a few things I've been noticing in a couple of states, and one in Texas. The last few elections, Texas has always been such a big red state, and the last few elections, going back to the Romney-Obama election through Ted Cruz's senatorial election, the numbers get tighter and tighter, and the most recent polls show, that's basically it's within the margin of error of a tie in Texas. What is anything planned? I know this with President Trump, his health is kind of a little bit of a setback. But is anything planned in Texas, or what are you guys seeing in internal polls in the state of Texas?
We're doing fine in all the states we need to win re-election, I'll be honest. The media gets all crazy about these polls because it pushes their guy, their candidate. This is the same thing they tried to do in 2016. Our voters are so energized and so excited. We are outpacing voter registration in all of the swing states by, in some cases, 5-1, because our people want to be out voting for this man to get another 4 years because they want the peace and prosperity that we brought. Energy states like Texas, Pennsylvania, they're looking around at these candidates, Michigan, and they realize that Joe Biden has embraced the Green New Deal. I mean, he tried to say he didn't the other night. It's on his website. Kamala Harris, his running mate, is literally the lead co-sponsor of the bill. He had headlines come out when he supported it from the Washington Post and the New York Times saying, look at Joe Biden, he finally endorses the Green New Deal. It would kill 10.5 million energy jobs in the sector immediately. He also says he wants to eliminate fracking. That's goodbye Pennsylvania. That's hundreds of thousands of jobs in that state. He tries to dance around it. The media try to cover for him, but the beauty of some of the ads we have out there is that it's actually his voice. Yeah. His words. Yeah. We're not having to pretend he said this. We have video of him saying it. Of course he would eliminate fracking because he said so. Double, triple, quadruple down on it in debates, in person with voters who wanted the Green New Deal. He said, yeah, absolutely we're getting rid of those things. So he doesn't want fossil fuels in this world, much less in this country. And so we're highlighting things like that in these states. We're in really good shape, and we're going to continue to drive those messages home from now until November 3rd.
Well, we're looking at the election is a month from today, right? And set aside where we are right now in the polling and with Donald Trump's health and everything else, as you back up 20,000 feet and look down on this campaign, would you have at this point in the campaign, did you already have it set up that you're now going to ramp things up in terms of exposure, in terms of advertising? Is this when you really step on the gas pedal?
Pretty much. All those things are usually planned out. You kind of start from Election Day and game your way backwards, so you know kind of where the waves come into play for money surges and for big pushes on advertising, things like that, targeting different voters, different groups based on issues and polling. What resonates. But all those things change. It's kind of like that old adage. I don't remember who said it first, but one of the fighters, Mike Tyson or someone, says everyone has a plan until they get hit, and so everyone kind of games things out. And then when the punches start coming in, you got to figure out how to move and adapt. And we've done a good job at this campaign building out such a massive operation around the country with voter contact. I think we had 5.5 million calls last week. We had 2.5 million actual voter contacts as well. And again, here's another great example. We started door knocking, way back, I think in sometime at the beginning of the year. And the Joe Biden campaign, when he finally became the nominee, said that we were literally, that this campaign was killing people by door knocking. Then they said, well, it's not really effective. Okay. Then last week they decided to start door knocking because they know they're getting killed on it, and the media never asked them a thing. They said, "Wow, isn't this brilliant? Look at them door knocking now. Isn't that smart?" And so my thought was, if the logic plays out, and we are killing people, is what the Joe Biden campaign said by door knocking. If you start door knocking, I guess that's premeditated murder. I'm very confused.
So. Yeah. Ours was accident, but you did it on purpose. I know you got to run, but let me ask you, just in closing, this story that came out today, Director of National Intelligence John Radcliffe declassified documents that revealed that former CIA Director John Brennan briefed Obama on Hillary Clinton's purported plan to tie up the then candidate Donald Trump, tie him to Russia as a means of distracting from her use of the private email and the disappearing emails or email server. Do you think, is that going to play into the campaign? I mean, this is horrendous news. It's not going to get much coverage other than some conservative outlets, but how is this going to tie into the campaign?
Why? Let me ask you this, because you guys are in the business here. Why cover a scandal in which someone in the federal government pushed a lie against a private citizen to try and hurt them politically? Why cover that when you can be up in arms and irate that when the president returned to his home and was standing alone on a balcony outside, he took off his mask? Obviously that's way more important, guys. Come on. That's what matters to people out there. I mean, give me a break. It didn't matter you flip over to MSNBC at the same time, and Joe Biden didn't have on a mask talking to Lester Holt, who also didn't have on a mask, but I'll leave that for another time. This type of attack on the president from the higher-ups in the federal government should scare everyone. If they can do that to a man running for president with reckless abandon, they can do it to you. And they will target you, and they will come after you if there are people in this government, because it is millions and millions of people in the federal government. If they don't like you, look out, because this is the type of behavior that we know occurs at the federal government.
Hogan Gigley calling in. Thank you, Hogan. Do appreciate it. Thanks for the update. Our prayers for the President and the First Lady, and for Hope Hicks and others who have come down with COVID. Stay safe. Don't you get it. And look forward to talking to you soon.
Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. We're going to take a time out. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
GoEco is the office equipment company that people all over eastern North Carolina are turning to for their office copier and equipment needs. GoEco sells and services Canon copiers and office products. They have a great service team that's quick to respond when you need them. We here at Interbanks Media just made the switch to GoEco, and they're saving us money in printing costs. Other businesses in and around Greenville are making the switch too. Dirk's Chiropractic switched over a year ago and saved money. GoEco bought out their existing lease, and Dirk's Chiropractic received better products fitting their needs. In fact, GoEco has saved local clients who have switched over $178,000. Oh, and some businesses might qualify for no payments until 2021. Call Area Sales Director Tom Watkins at GoEco for a free consultation today. 252-227-0581 or email info@goeconc.com. Save money by switching to GoEco.
Riots, vandalism, looting, and arson from violent mobs have become a problem in America. Charlotte and Raleigh have seen major attacks while our liberal governor did nothing. Now the radical left is even threatening smaller communities. Beaufort County needs to be prepared. Tandy Dunn is the conservative candidate for Beaufort County Commissioner with a background as a first responder. Before entering management in the private sector, Tandy Dunn served as a deputy sheriff, an EMT, and a volunteer fireman. Tandy Dunn was commissioned as a captain in the official NC state militia under former Governor Jim Martin. Tandy Dunn will be a strong voice for law and order on the Beaufort County Commission. Let's elect Tandy Dunn, Beaufort County Commissioner. Paid for by the committee to elect Tandy Dunn.
I'm Tandy Dunn, and I approve this message. For more than 85 years, families in and surrounding Pitt County have trusted Wilkerson Funeral Home and the Wilkerson family to serve them when they have experienced the loss of a loved one.
With the addition of Farmer Funeral Service in Ayden, we now have 3 traditional funeral homes, each with their own chapel, serving all faiths. We also recently introduced Winterville Cremation and Funeral Services, a new concept created to better serve families seeking a simpler and less costly funeral.
From the combination of our successful pre-need program, our multi-garden cemetery featuring traditional burial, mausoleums, niches, and a new open-air chapel, the Wilkerson family continues to be innovative and the trusted choice in funeral care. Let us introduce you to the growing Wilkerson family of companies. Chances are we may have already touched your family. If so, we thank you. If not, you can count on and trust us to serve your family with the same dignified and compassionate care that we have been known for since 1932.
To learn more, visit wilkersonfuneralhome.com.
Think Halloween is scary.
Hey, look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap.
Think again.
COVID has taken this year, just since the outbreak, has taken more than 100 years. Look, here's the lives. I mean, think about it.
Yeah, there's nothing smart about you, Jeff.
Now, back to more news and views with Tom Lamprecht on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
All right, welcome back in. Take a look at your weather forecast. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 56. Tomorrow, some early morning fog. Then the sun comes out, warming up to 82 tomorrow. Tomorrow night, clear with around 60 degrees. Sunny on Thursday as well, so it's looking good all the way through Friday night. And then Saturday, a chance of showers comes in. Chance of rain on Saturday, 40%. So it's sort of iffy for Saturday. Got something coming up on Saturday we're going to be talking about in just a little bit. Weather brought to you by our friends at Ironwood Golf and Country Club. Celebrate your big event at Ironwood this year. Over $300,000 in upgrades to our clubhouse. Looking brand new, looking better than ever. Our plantation-style clubhouse is the perfect setting to host your wedding, birthday, anniversary, baby reveal party, graduation celebration, business meeting, holiday party. Ironwood offers several party spaces leading to out to terraces with beautiful views of the Lee Trevino Signature Golf Course. Make your celebration this year one to remember at one of the most beautiful venues in eastern North Carolina. Contact Taylor Hetzel, banquet manager. She'll take care of everything, whether it's a reception for 150 or just to get together with a couple of dozen. Ironwood Golf and Country Club can take care of everything. Give her a call, 252-752-4653, or email Taylor at foodandbeverage@ironwood.com. So we talked to Hogan just a little bit about this breaking story, which is a huge story. We heard bits and pieces last week from Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe, and now much of that information, now a lot of it was redacted, but much of that information has also been declassified. Bottom line is that it is now becoming pretty evident, a couple of things that looks real evident. One, that Hillary Clinton devised this whole Russian dossier as a means to deflect any attention on her campaign, her private server, her deleted emails. I mean, remember she had that one press conference and she said, "Did you delete the emails?" "Oh, what do you mean?" "You mean like I took a cloth and got rid of it?" Unbelievable. But the other thing that is rather breathtaking in all this is there are now hand notes by John Brennan that indicate he had a meeting with Barack Hussein Obama and basically informed him that that was what was going on. Now, I think that, where was the meeting? I think the meeting was in July 28th of 2016. Now, remember, that would have been just a couple of weeks after James Comey got up and said, well, she made some bad mistakes, but she wasn't going to get charged with anything. Because what did he say? Because he said it was a mistake, the emails and the passing on of classified information. It was a mistake, but it wasn't deliberate. It was just a mistake, so therefore we're not going to charge her. Well, now we find out, no, the whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle was planned out, and Obama knew about it. You know, and how many of us have been suspicious from the get-go that he was well aware of what was going on?
Well, in Brennan's notes, it says POTUS, and everyone knows what POTUS means. But also in his notes, they had notes JC, which I assume is Jim Comey.
James Comey, yeah.
And then and Susan, which you would think Susan Rice. And then Dennis. Who is Dennis?
I saw that. I was trying to figure it out.
I'm not sure who that is, but
I'm sure if we think long and hard enough, there's a trivia question for you. No prizes. Anybody got the answer to that?
But it's amazing to me, these guys, when they testified, they don't remember anything.
Just last week.
Yeah, just last week.
Last week, James Comey is asked by Senator Graham about, do you recollect any of this stuff happening? Because, again, John Ratcliffe informed members of Congress about what was going on. Some of the information was declassified. Now more of the information is declassified. James Comey is asked by Senator Graham, what do you know about? Well, that doesn't ring any bells. Yeah, and it's amazing. You can tell when they're lying because they don't just come out and say, no, I didn't. It's I can't remember, I do not recall. I mean, that's Hillary Clinton's middle name, I do not recall. But James Comey, it didn't ring any bells.
Plausible deniability.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Can you imagine? We were talking to the break. Can you imagine if this was on the other shoe, on the other foot? If this was an accusation against Donald Trump? And, of course, they tried to make the whole thing was an accusation against Donald Trump. It was fictitious. It was made up. And look how the mainstream media ran after him constantly, beating the drum night after night, day after day. And yet, when we actually have the truth come out, crickets. Total silence.
If this was a Republican, this would be a Pulitzer Prize. Just ask Bob Woodward. He'd tell you.
Yeah.
But
will he write a book about it? I don't think so. CNBC is also reporting today that Donald Trump said he is calling off stimulus negotiations with Democrats until after the election. He tweeted, this was via several tweets. Nancy Pelosi is asking for $2.4 trillion to bail out poorly run, high-crime Democrat states, money that is no way related to COVID-19. We made a very generous offer of $1.6 trillion, and as usual, she is not negotiating in good faith. I am rejecting their request and looking to the future of our country. I've instructed my representatives to stop negotiating until after the election, when immediately after I win, we will pass a major stimulus bill that focuses on hardworking Americans and small business. I have asked Mitch McConnell not to delay, but instead to focus full-time on approving my outstanding nominee to the United States Supreme Court, Amy Coney Barrett. Our economy is doing very well. The stock market is at record levels. Jobs and unemployment is also coming back in record numbers. We are leading the world in economic recovery, and the best is yet to come. Now, what's interesting is, he announced that, he tweeted that, and the stock market dropped in a matter of minutes, literally in minutes. It dropped 1.1%. I think the Dow finished down. And at one point today, the Dow was up like 175 maybe, but it finished down about 375, so a big swing there. But I don't blame Trump. Why do you negotiate with this numbskull?
Well, it's been a while since I read the original Hero. I think it was a Heroes Act. Yeah, is the one that the House did, and it was just so much pork in there. It was unbelievable. Yeah. And I think now, one of the big differences between the Heroes Act then and now, I understand that Nancy Pelosi took out $600 million worth of dollars to law enforcement agencies out of it. And added other stuff in the place of it. But, I think what the Trump campaign needs to do now in a very concise message and say, hey, this is what Nancy Pelosi's, talking about. This is what she's proposing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is why we're not going to do it. And so, the American people know what it's all about.
And again, I just think the simple message of, folks, remember where we were 6 years ago under the Obama-Biden administration. Remember have a graph with the unemployment numbers. Have a graph and just say, folks, this is where we were. Do you want to go back to this? Because I don't think anybody, I don't care where you are on the spectrum, I don't think anybody wants to go back to high unemployment, mortgage rates that were too high. Nobody could afford a house. The housing market was in the tank. Everything was in the tank. The fact that we were dependent on foreign oil, that we weren't fracking, the pipelines were shut down. Everything that people realized, hey, that makes common sense. The Obama and the Biden administration was against. I mean, just have the before and after. Does anybody want to go back to where we were 6 and 8 years ago? I don't think so. I mean, there's a few people that want to remain in power. There's certainly some people that realize they might be facing jail time if they don't get their fanny in gear, but oh my goodness.
I think the only industry that hadn't benefited the Trump administration is probably political campaign experts.
That and the solar industry.
Yeah,
probably.
the solar industry, yeah.
By the way, Jill Biden, wife of Cousin Eddie, came out to Pitt Community College this afternoon, the Get Out the Vote rally. And the only thing I can say is there must not have been many people there, because I went to several sites. I couldn't see any pictures of any crowds. I couldn't find any videos, and I couldn't find any reports that reported the numbers.
I saw a live video, I think, on WITN, and they had, all I could see was maybe 16 or 18 people in little circled stations, properly social distancing. But the amazing thing to me was that you couldn't find any information about when it was going to take place. And I know why. Because they didn't want more Trump supporters to show up than Biden supporters. And
there would have been.
And by a large margin.
There would have been. Hey, we're going to take a time out. When we come back, there's a special event that's going to take place this Saturday. We want to talk about that, and we want you to be a part of it. Stay with us. We'll talk about that when we get back.
Raleigh politicians put big cities first and rural communities last. But Chris Humphrey is one of us. Humphrey helped balance North Carolina's budget so we can combat crises like COVID. Humphrey fought to raise teacher pay and secure millions in COVID relief for small businesses and workers so local families can weather this storm. Chris Humphrey, fighting for us because he's one of us. Humphrey for State House.
I'm Chris Humphrey, and my campaign paid for this ad.
The Winterville Chamber of Commerce invites you to visit Winterville and experience a slice of the good life. Enjoy local restaurants, breweries, and shops. There's something for everyone in Winterville.
Aquaventure Winterville Aquatics Campus on Beacon Drive is the home of swimming in Pitt County. If you're searching for swim lessons, pool parties, swim teams, water fitness, or lap swimming, then you've found it at Aquaventure. Give them a call at 931-8081.
Apt to Learn at 650 East Fire Tower Road carries curricula and resources for homeschool parents and teachers. Plus, they have certified teachers available to tutor students from kindergarten through 12th grade. For more information, call 252-756-7000.
Rum Runner Dive Shop on Beacon Drive is a family-operated scuba training facility for either new divers or to refresh your skills. Family-friendly and offering youth programs, they're your authorized dealer for Scuba Pro, Aqualung, Sherwood, and more. Call 439-4390 for Rum Runner Dive Shop.
And here's the snap. Crack open a Hampton Farms in-shell peanut, and the game's in your hand. The only peanuts with flavor roasted inside the shell, Hampton Farms are healthy, high protein, and fun to crack open and crunch. In your backyard or on your flat screen, bust open classic game day in-shells with football at home. Find us in the produce section of your local grocery store. With Hampton Farms, every day is opening day.
In this election, the health and financial security of Americans 50 plus are on the line. From preventing cuts to Social Security, to protecting Medicare, to lowering prescription drug prices, you deserve to cast your vote on the issues that matter to you. And AARP is here to help. We're working to make sure your voice is heard. And this year, that means voting early and voting safely. Know all your voting options: in person, from home, or absentee. And if you're not voting in person, be sure to request and return your ballot early. Everyone from working parents to family caregivers to seniors in nursing homes should be able to vote safely. So don't wait. Visit us at aarp.org/ncvotes and find out how to vote early. You deserve the peace of mind that comes with voting safely and knowing your vote will count. Learn how AARP North Carolina is fighting to protect voters 50 plus. Visit aarp.org/NC votes today. Paid for by AARP.
Backup power. Oh, no. A backup plan.
And you make the appropriate changes.
Also backing up all those important texts. Also important, a presidential backup.
There's so much at stake.
9 to 10:30 p.m. tomorrow.
We need to fight.
Harris versus Pence, the vice presidential debate.
We made America great again. We need a change.
Coverage continues on News and Views with Tom Lamprecht on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
All right, welcome back in. 20 minutes before the top of the hour. Tom Lamprecht, Bennie Hardy, and I've got a special guest with us, Jerry Fisher. This Saturday, October the 10th, a Back the Blue rally will be held at the Pitt County Courthouse, which is located at 100 West 3rd Street in Greenville. The purpose of the event is to show law enforcement that the community appreciates the sacrifices that they and their families make on our behalf. The event will start at 10 a.m. Attendees will participate in a moment of remembrance for our fallen officers. Then there will be a march through uptown Greenville after a fantastic selection of speakers. Here to talk about this important event, again, is our special guest, Jerry Fisher. Jerry, welcome in. Good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
Jerry, this is, I'm with you on this event. It's an important event. There are a lot of obvious good reasons why you would organize such an event. But as I thought about you and your involvement in this, putting this together, what was the key issue that motivated you to do this?
I just like everybody else, you sit there and watch these Facebook conversations and arguments, and you sit there and watch the news. And honestly, I've been in a lot of fights in my life, and I've never been in one because somebody was picking on me. It was always because they were picking on somebody else. And I'm sick and tired of seeing people pick on my law enforcement.
Bingo.
And that's basically where it comes from. It disgusts me to see that somebody will be protesting and throwing rocks at law enforcement officers on Friday night. Then their buddies laying in the street on Saturday night, and they expect the same cops they threw rocks at Friday night to show up on Saturday when the bullets are still flying.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know, and I've said this before, I don't think I've got the qualities it takes to wear a badge, because it would be awful difficult for me to show up on Saturday night to defend someone who was calling me a murderer and a killer and all kinds of hateful things on Friday night. I mean, you got to be a pretty special person to do that, and it just gives me a pretty special a feeling, an appreciation for law enforcement. And here's what surprises people is that I have no law enforcement background. I'm not associated with law enforcement. The only person in my entire family that's been in law enforcement was my grandmother's brother-in-law. So nobody can say Jerry's doing this because his brother is a cop.
Right.
And I think it's important for people to understand. It's just a matter of people need to act. Quit talking, get off your rear end and do something. And if you don't start saying thank you to law enforcement, and I'm not talking about just buy them a biscuit at Hardee's when you see them and tell them thank you. You need to show up on Saturday and be very visible and be very vocal. And that's kind of why I want to do this.
One of the things I want to stress too, this is a regional event. It's happening in Greenville, but our signal reaches from the Virginia line almost down into Wilmington. But we've got not just Greenville folks here. You've got the Craven County Sheriff, you've got the Carteret County Sheriff, you've got Congressman Greg Murphy, you've got state representatives there. Talk about the events of the day and the list of speakers.
Well, we've got I wanted to make sure that people are always trying to frame your picture, and one of the things I want to be very cautious of is to have anyone be able to say that this event is anything other than a law enforcement appreciation event. I am not politically affiliated with any organization. I'm a committee of one. There is no one else that anybody can blame for this event but me. So I intentionally tried to find people who were not involved in politics, and that's the way it started. So I started out. We got Abdul Ali, who is, and I don't have my information in front of me. He's an urban conservative. Everybody needs to look him up.
Co-founder and co-host of the Urban Conservative and chairman of the North Carolina Black Conservative Coalition.
Amazing guy. I found him on Facebook, and I said, I need your help. I said, here's the thing. I need to know how we can get a message to a diversified group of people. I want to make sure that everybody understands that everyone should love law enforcement for what they do. This is not a political thing. This isn't a counter-protest to any other organization. It is simply an appreciation for law enforcement. How can you help me get people there? And he jumped right on it. He said, man, I'll help you and do everything I can. And I said, well, would you like to speak? He said, absolutely. Josh Flores, Latinos for Freedom, he'll be here speaking.
Okay.
And when I contacted him, he's actually one of the fellows that spoke up at the Back to Blue NC event up in Raleigh with Back to Blue North Carolina, which is just another group. I didn't even know them. I was inspired by the fact that they had an event up in Raleigh, and that's why I have one here. We're not necessarily the same organization, but they've been very helpful in kind of giving me ideas. So Josh said, "Hey, I would absolutely love to come and speak." And then I realized during this process that whenever I don't have access to Congress, I can't show up to Congress and just go speak. There are a lot of congressmen that I would love to give a piece of my mind, but I just can't walk in there and tell them.
Wouldn't we all?
Yeah, and so I realized, when I'm watching these politicians sign the defund police pledges, and they're standing up talking, when you have an elected official talking so hatefully about law enforcement, I'm like, why are you even in this position? It offends me when I hear someone in that position to talk about our law enforcement the way they do. And they're talking about defunding them, which is to me just absurd. And I thought, I can't personally compete with that person, but I know somebody that can. Greg Murphy can. Right. Perrin Jones can.
Right.
We've got other politicians that can, because they're in that position. And here's the thing people need to understand. It came to me and I knew this, but during this process, it's been so difficult to get it organized, and the kickback and pushback I got from officials who made it difficult for me to do this. I realized I have to have somebody on my side that's in the position of power to combat these people. And that's why people had better start paying attention to who they elect to these positions.
Now, I'm not going to get into names. I'm not going to ask you for names. But what I hear you saying is that, here you are trying to put together a non-political, non-partisan rally, just saying we're supporting law enforcement. We don't care if you're black. We don't care if you're white law enforcement. We don't care if you're a Democrat as a law enforcement officer, or a Republican or a Libertarian. We just want to support law enforcement and let the citizens show that we appreciate you. And you're telling me officials were opposed, that certain officials were opposed to that?
We'll say I've had this conversation a lot, and I'm trying to be nice about it, but we'll just say administrative passive resistance. Just nobody would actually come out and say no, but they surely didn't make it easy. And most people, I can tell you, I have never backed down to a fight with anybody. And especially when I know I'm on the side of righteousness. And in this case, I'm taking up for law enforcement. I don't know what better position I could have.
Right.
And you know what? I want to make sure that we have an event that they can be proud of. Not necessarily one I can be proud of, but I know I want to do an event they can be proud of, because that's really what it's all about. It's all about the law enforcement, not about me. It's not about any of the speakers that are going to be there. It's a matter of, unfortunately, our police officers and our deputies are going to want to clap, but they're not going to be allowed to.
Right.
And that's a shame.
So we need to be there clapping for them.
Exactly.
My wife and I are going to be there. We've already put it on our calendar.
Thank you for doing that. Yeah.
And give us some logistics. Starting at 10 o'clock.
Yep, starting at 10 o'clock, we're going to start out. We'll have an invocation. This is one of those things where it needs to be a moment of unity for people that are there. Want to emphasize just exactly what you said. This is not a Republican or Democrat situation. It's not black and white. There's no religious, everybody needs to be there for this. So we'll have that moment together for an invocation to have a nice start there. We'll have a Pledge of Allegiance. After we do that, then I've got a friend coming from Raleigh who's a bagpiper. And if you've never been there for a moment of remembrance for fallen officers with bagpipes, I can tell you that's something you don't want to miss.
Yeah.
Bring Kleenex.
Yeah, no. I mean, I don't care what you play on the bagpipes. There's an emotional element to it. But,
it is. So that I'm thinking that should probably take until about 10:30, and then we'll start out with the speakers. And then by the way, too, I want to make sure I don't forget this. We've got an organization that is bringing the largest thin blue line flag in the entire country.
Wow.
From Tampa, Florida.
Wow.
And they'll be here for this event. So
you got a crane to hoist it on?
It is. It requires a very large truck to lift it off the ground.
Wow.
It is an impressive sight.
Right. Now, Jerry, the location again?
It'll be downtown on 3rd Street at the Pitt County Courthouse.
Right there on the steps.
Yep, right on the steps there. It'll take more than the steps, from what I understand. It sounds. I hope people are going to come. It's difficult to tell. We went,
Right.
we went over 1,000 Facebook followers in about 8 days. I know we've got folks that are coming. Talking with Josh Flores, he said he's got friends that are coming from Virginia, South Carolina, Greensboro, Charlotte. Abdul Ali has got friends that are coming from out of town. There's no telling how many people will be there. But I know that we're going to have the whole area out in front of the courthouse, and hopefully we can pack it out.
What is the Facebook page?
It is Back the Blue Greenville NC. Make sure you put the NC on there. You're going to end up in South Carolina.
Back the Blue Greenville NC.
NC. Back the Blue Greenville NC. And look us up on Facebook. All of the details are on there. All the speakers are on there. And of course, the timing and everything like that. So I'm figuring the speakers will probably take maybe an hour and a half or so. We should be probably doing our march by around 12 o'clock. That's kind of the plan. Of course, you give folks give people a microphone and they get going with the crowd. You never know, but we're going to try to control it because we want to be respectful of people's time.
Especially when they're on a ballot.
Yeah. I already told them. I said, look, this isn't a campaign rally. This is an opportunity to, talk about what we're going to do to support the law enforcement, and that's really important. I'm really excited about having the Craven County Sheriff and the Carteret County Sheriff there. That's going to be. Those two guys, I'm telling you, if you've never heard them speak before, they don't hold any punches, and they're going to let everybody know why it's important for you to stand up and support your law enforcement.
This Saturday, regional. Okay, this is not a Greenville event. This is a regional event. It's taking place at the Greenville Courthouse, the Pitt County Courthouse in Greenville. Our guest has been Jerry Fisher. Back the Blue Greenville NC on Facebook for more information. Clark, put a link on our Facebook page and on our website to Back the Blue Greenville NC. Thanks, Jerry. Thanks for doing this. This is tremendous. It's interesting because my wife and I were talking about we need to have something like this, and lo and behold, Jerry Fisher does it. Thank you, Jerry.
So much.
We'll see you Saturday.
Thank you.
Stay with us. Benny and I'll be right back.
Need $1,000 to $10,000 immediately for a gift for someone special, car repairs, or unexpected expenses? Time Financing Service offers competitive loan rates. Apply online and get your answer in less than an hour in most cases. Then you can pick up the cash at any of our 24 convenient locations. Apply online 24/7 at timefinancing.com. That's timefinancing.com.
We're putting our money on you. Time Financing Service.
October is here, and that means the holiday season and cooler temps are right around the corner. But it also means the new crop of peanuts is being harvested. So if you're looking for great North Carolina peanut snacks, look no further than Bertie County Peanuts. Small batch, hand-cooked, and 100% guaranteed. You can't go wrong with their gourmet peanuts. Now with free shipping. Shop online at BertieCountyPeanuts.net or drop by and see them in Windsor at Powell and Stokes. Bertie County Peanuts, a North Carolina tradition.
Specialty FDR is your local fencing, decking, and roofing company, serving Pitt County for over 15 years. Charitable contributions have taken a hit in 2020, and Sean at Specialty FDR wants to give back to the community that's been so good to his company. Each month, Specialty FDR will choose a local nonprofit. This month, Specialty FDR is giving to Pitt Friends in support of the Greenville Animal Shelter. If you want to nominate your favorite local charity, email specialtyfencing2016@gmail.com. That's specialtyfencing2016@gmail.com.
Our local police matter. That is why Tony Moore is running for North Carolina House. Tony's opponent, Candy Smith, has had several run-ins with law enforcement and court summons in multiple counties. Police officers filed a lawsuit against Candy Smith, alleging that she was initiating confrontations and interactions with GPD officers to file complaints against them. Our local law enforcement have a difficult job and deserve our support.
I am Tony Moore, and I approve this message.
Paid for by the committee to elect Tony Moore to NC House.
During this unprecedented time, Nutrien would like to thank farmers and livestock producers. No matter what's going on in the world, a farmer's job never slows down. While many things in life have changed, American farmers continue to work hard to ensure there's food to put on our tables. As part of the agricultural industry, Nutrien continues to be here to support and provide ag solutions to help over 500,000 farmers produce a bigger and healthier harvest. We would also like to thank the more than 20,000 Nutrien employees who continue their work each day. Phosphate mined at the Nutrien Aurora facility is a key ingredient in fertilizer, important in plant productivity and crop yields. Our safety culture is ingrained in everything we do. It extends to the care and protection of our people, the environment, our products, and our communities. Our purpose is to grow our world from the ground up, which isn't possible without the hard work of many farmers, growers, and our employees. From all of us at Nutrien Aurora, we thank you.
This is your Drive at 5 and ENC with Tom Lamprecht. Welcome back to News and Views on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
All right, wrapping things up for a Tuesday, the Kinston City Council passed 2 motions on Monday night declaring 2 additional paid holidays for city staff. The first motion makes the general election day a paid holiday, falling this year on Tuesday, November the 3rd. The second motion creates Juneteenth as a paid holiday, backdating to June 19th, 2020. What's interesting about this is they were all giddy because after they made the motion and it passed, they said, this is great. It's not costing the city any extra money. I don't speak liberal, okay? I don't speak liberal here, but how does creating 2 paid holidays where you're not getting any work done, how is that not costing you anything? Here's the thing. If you can take 2 days, if you can take the entire city of Kinston and give them 2 extra holidays off, and it doesn't cost you anything, I'm assuming that means you got all your work done. So it sounds to me like you're overstaffed. It sounds to me like you've got a bloated staff there in the city of Kinston.
That's what I would think. But maybe it's just that new math. Democrats have that. They have that new math. And obviously the board. I know most of the board members know who they are and what their backgrounds are, and most of them. I don't think any of them's ever signed a paycheck on the back.
That genius who writes for the Washington Post, Jennifer Rubin. Did you hear what she came out and said? Because she doesn't like how the doctors at Walter Reed Hospital handled Donald Trump. She didn't like the fact that they let him get in the car and wave to the people and tell the world that he was okay. They didn't like the fact that they were letting him go back to the White House. She went on a tirade, and she is now demanding that Congress defund Walter Reed Hospital because how they treated Donald Trump.
She's what I call cat crazy.
She can't make this stuff up. Hey, listen, we're doing our best to see if we can get Tom Tillis to talk about the Cal Cunningham thing. Hopefully tomorrow. We'll see you then. Bye-bye, everybody.
Dogwood State Bank is not only the newest bank in Eastern Carolina, they're committed to being the best local bank. Through their branches in Green